before to begin beginning to read the book, I will have illustrated a PowerPoint in the front of the class where I will be putting some images that relate to coral reefs, like the animals, the plants, the ocean. Where, for example, this. I'll be showing images like this, and I will then further ask them questions as to if they're familiar with the word coral reefs, and if they know what is a coral reef, or if and ask them if they could give me like an example of plants, animals, or anything that when the word coral reefs, when I mention coral reefs, whatever it comes to mind to tell me. And I will give them approximately 3 minutes so they could think about some stuff if they find it familiar or anything. And I will ask around 5 children to 3, the lowest, to tell me anything about coral reefs or whatever they think it is, or whatever the plants or anything. And after they have answered that, I will then be passing the KW chart, which is this one. I'll be printing them out and passing them out to every child, and they will be completing the K and the W, which is the know and the wonder, which on the know they will have to write down what they think about the topic, and they will have an understanding, because I've already asked 3 children, so they could write 3 things about the topic of what they think it is or anything, and they will circle 1 that it pops out the most, that they know the most. And on the wonder they will write 3 questions also that they have related to that. For example, it could be the same stuff, like they would want to know what animals or where are the coral reefs located, stuff like that, and they will circle 1 question that they will want to know the most, that they want to know. And the L, I will tell them not to complete it. That will be completed after I have finished reading the book. So then I will begin to read the book. So I will be illustrating the book. I'll be showing them the book, and I'll read the title, which is Coral Reefs. The name of the book is Coral Reefs. As you can see, here's a map. Here's like corals, fishes. Okay, I will proceed. So be learning about the Earth Coral Reefs by Colin Seston. I'll be showing them. Okay. So I'll be going over, before I begin to read, I'll be going over the context, which is what is a coral reef, which is a question I asked earlier. And so they will be giving us what is a coral reef. So remember, I'll be pointing that out. And how coral reefs are built, types of coral reefs are alive, glossary, and to learn more, and index. So I will be. A coral reef is an ocean community that thousands of plants and animals call home. And here's an illustration of a coral reef. Coral reefs lie in water that is warm, shallow, and clear. Most coral reefs are in the tropics. So as you can see, there's some words that are bolded. So just keep that in mind, which is tropics. Here's a map about the tropics, so it could give you an understanding. This is the tropic Ecuador, the tropics. So this is all this. Okay. Small tube-shaped animals called corals make coral reefs. So the small tube-shaped animals. Do you see any tube-shaped animals? I see fishes. I see maybe corals here. Okay. Each coral makes a hard skeleton around the bottom of its body. The skeleton is left behind when the coral dies. As you can see, here's another bolded word. Skeleton. So the first one was tropical. Yes, it was tropics, and now it's skeleton. Okay. New corals attach their skeletons to the skeletons of dead corals. The skeletons make layers on top of each other. Layers on top. What I could see, I see corals. There's a fish, and this looks like kind of looks like an animal when it camouflages, as you can see. Here are some corals in the ocean. Okay. The shells of clams and snails and other animals mix in the coral skeletons. They all become part of the reef. Tiny living things called algae help the reef stick together. Another bolded word, algae. Over time, the reef turns into hard rock called limestone. So here shows an image and another word called limestones. Do you see the limestones? Okay. Coral reefs grow slowly. Most grow around 5 inches, 13 centimeters. Each year, some coral reefs have been growing for millions of years. So there's an island, and as you can see, there's many coral reefs around it. The world's largest coral reef is the Great Barrier Reef. It stretches 1,250 miles, which is 2,000 kilometers, along the coast of Australia. Another bolded word, which is Great Barrier Reef, and as they could, it says here is the largest coral reef. So we can imagine by this picture, this is the Great Coral Reef, which is the largest. Coral reefs grow in different forms. Fringing reefs grow outward from shore, and barrier reefs grow offshore. A deep area of water lies between the shore and the barrier reef. And as you can see, the frigid reefs and the barrier reefs are bolded, and they have already underlined here that this is a frigid reef, which is a coral reef that grows different forms. Is the frigid reef, which is this that grows outward from the shore. Okay. Some coral reefs are rings in the ocean. They once grew around islands. The islands have since sunk. These coral reefs are called atolls. So this is the ring around it. And here, as they say, there used to be an island, but it usually sunks. So when it sunks, this is considered an atoll. The top layer of the coral reef is the life. A reef can have millions of live corals. So as you can see, this is all corals, and it's shaped like a ring. You can peep the little boat there. Corals share the reef with other living things. Seaweed and other types of algae may attach to the coral reef. Here's this is the seaweed. So now we could get an understanding of maybe this is the coral reef, and there's a bunch of algae and seaweed. Fish of all shapes and sizes swim around coral reefs. A coral reef can have thousands of different kinds of fish. Animals such as sharks, dolphins, sea turtles, and jellyfish visit coral reefs to find food. Coral reefs are beautiful and busy places. So here's the image, coral reefs. So sharks, you can see sharks. Here's the dolphins. There's like different fishes, the corals, as you can see, and also maybe algae right here. Algae. So there's many different animals living on coral reefs. And that'll be the end. Now, if you remembered about the bolded words here, it shows, so let's go over them. Algae. So what's an algae? Algae is a living creature that are like plants, but do not have roots or stems. Most algae grow in water. And atoll, as you remember, atoll was about the island, and around it was a lot of corals. So as it's a coral reef shaped like a ring, and atoll is surrounded by open ocean. Because remember, the island in the middle, it sunks, so around it, so that's why the corals around it is called atoll. Like, it describes it because the island in the middle sunk. Frigid reef and barrier reef. Barrier reef is an offshore coral reef that it lies between land and the open ocean. Frigid reef is a coral reef that grows outward from the land. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef. And limestone. What's a limestone? It's a rock made from skeletons of corals and other dead animals. Skeleton. What's a skeleton? A hard structure that supports and protects a body. Corals that build reefs have a cup-shaped skeleton. In tropics, an area around the middle of the earth where the weather is always warm or hot. And that'll be it for the book. I'll be putting down in the board some of this because it illustrates. I will be having this in the board, in the front of the board, so they could later on search it on their own time and search about more information about coral reefs. So after I'm done reading the book, I will be then telling them. I already went over the bold words, and I'll be asking them. Each student, I will ask them to tell me, because I told them to circle one thing from the know and the wonder. So I'll be asking each student to tell me what they wrote down for the N. Okay. So I'll be asking them again, and they should be writing it. They should have written it down before for the know, something they already knew. So I'll be asking them to tell me one quick thing that they knew, like an animal. Maybe they knew the name of an animal, like the fish, the shark, the dolphins that even mentioned here. I will ask them to each to tell me one thing they already knew. And if they didn't know anything, it's okay. They could just tell me they didn't know anything. And on the W, if the question they wrote on the W and they circle it, the one they circle it, if their question is still not answered, I would tell them to raise their hand. I'll be calling those students. I'll be calling around approximately 3. I'll be calling them, and we will be going over the question together as a class. And finally, they will be working for the L, which is the learn, something new they learned about the topic, about the book, something they seen. It could be anything, something they saw in the book, it could be numbers, the plants, the space, or they could even draw. If they can't explain it, they could even draw anything that they saw here that they never seen, that is about the coral reefs. So after everything's done and they finish the KW chart, I will have them pair with the classmate and discuss everything that was there, and I will allow them to individually, as a group, with their classmate by 2. A group of 2, I will have them some in the book section and some in the computer section where they could find more information about coral reefs, and I'll be including on the board the things that they added here. There's some additional books and some online where they could find more information, just to intrigue them a little bit more, because this book was short, so they could find more animals and be more specific about the animal. And for homework, I will have them assign that, like, to pick an animal and a plant and just talk a little bit further about what they eat or how long do they live there in the coral reefs. And that'll be all. Thank you.